What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another tier list. Today we're going to be doing Jim Carrey movies. Jim Carrey is one of my favourite comedic actors of all time. So this list here has been compiled by someone else, of course, because I ain't going to be doing it myself. It includes, I think it's all of his big movies and some of his early stuff. I haven't seen every single thing on here, that's why I've got haven't seen the list. I think C is as low as we could go anyway for a Jim Carrey movie. For me personally anyway, I love Jim Carrey. So we're just going to get on into it. There's a couple here I know I haven't seen, so I'm going to put low down. We're also going to try to keep explanations to a minimum, because there's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, haven't seen. It's mostly his early stuff. Yeah, no, that's fine. Obviously it's missing Sonic 2 as well, so it must have been done before that. All in Good Taste, haven't seen. The Majestic, haven't seen. It's quite a lot of stuff I haven't seen, to be fair. So it must be missing a load of movies. It really must be, because like Jim Carrey's done way more than this. But we'll get straight on into it. It's not going to be in any sort of order. I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly what years everything came out. Oh, there's another one for the thing. Right, Christmas Carol. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna put this at C, starting at the bottom tier for films I've seen right away. I compare this to A Muppet's Christmas Carol, which is, I don't care what anyone says, well, possibly close to Scrooged with Bill Murray, is the best adaptation of the Charles Dickens novel there is. A Muppet's Christmas Carol or Scrooged. This is just like samey. Even with Jim Carrey's mannerisms and all in the CGI character, it's just the same story. It's nothing to do with the quality of the film or anything, or the acting or the writing. It's just we've seen it 100 times. I don't need to see any more Christmas Carol movies. I just don't. Jim Carrey Dark Crimes, wasn't keen on it either. Jim Carrey did definitely go through a phase where like it's not that he lost his aura, but like he sort of forgot who he was. It's like, it was only when he came back for the first Sonic movie that it was like, that's Jim Carrey. Like, the kids are seeing Jim Carrey now the way we saw him back then. Just this manic, crazy looking performance, and it's outstanding. So yeah, not the best film again. Once again, not the best film again. Starting off with 3 bottom tier films. Do I like Jim Carrey that much? I do. Dumb and Dumber 2. It was good to see Harry and Lloyd back together, do not get me wrong, but this film did not need a sequel. I don't care what anyone says. Like, the story with the original is just outstanding, and honestly, like, the memes from the first film alone, like, could like be on the internet forever. But Dumb and Dumber 2 is so bad. The whole cast is bad, the story's bad, the acting is terrible. Like, I don't want to say it's a cash grab, because I don't honestly, because Jim Carrey had such a strong opinion for so long about not doing sequels outside of Ace Ventura, that it is hard for me to think that this was just a cash grab. But I don't see how him and Jeff Daniels looked at that script and didn't just say, we're better than this, because they are. So it's garbage too. Horton Hears a Who obviously came out, like, it's sort of associated with the animated Grinch verse and all that. It's a B. It's a good kid family friendly film. Better than most. Jim Carrey's voice is just so indistinguishable that it doesn't matter who he plays in these animated films. You know it's him right away, and you can just picture him. It's all right. A B's fair. I love you, Philip Morris. I have to say, like, first time I seen this, I wasn't expecting some of the scenes that were in it, I'm not gonna lie. It's a funny film. Like, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of his first name here. Ewan McGregor is very funny in it too. Don't get me wrong. It's a B. It's definitely not down here with these. Like, this is trash. Like, these 3 are trash. When I say it, trash, I mean trash. So yeah, it was funny enough. Like, Jim Carrey's just Jim Carrey in it. This one, he plays a side character obviously, but how iconic is his side character in this? I think is the brilliant film, The Incredible Burt Wonderstone. I think everybody in it's brilliant, to be fair. I think Steve Buscemi, Steve Carell and Jim Carrey is all fantastic in it. They're all hilarious, and like Jim Carrey doing like a spoof of Chris Danger, Mind Freak. Like, he's outstanding. He really is, and like in the film, he makes you hate him, but you also can't help but laugh uncontrollably at him. It's fantastic. Kick-Ass 2. The thing with Kick-Ass 2 is, like, I enjoy the Kick-Ass movies. I actually really enjoy them, but he came out and he went against his own movie before it even was released, saying about the violence and all, and don't watch it. It's like, you're in the movie, Jim. Like, I'm guessing your contract doesn't rely on like movie profits, because if it did, you wouldn't be telling people to go not to go watch it. Kick-Ass 2 is nowhere near as good as Kick-Ass 1. We can all agree on that. I'd say B. It's an average film. Kick-Ass 1 was here, it would be top tier. But Jim Carrey is funny in it, but he's not the funniest. And then him shitting on his own movie, it didn't do it for me. Mr. Popper's Penguins, I actually really enjoy Mr. Popper's Penguins, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna put it in there. Mr. Popper's Penguins is probably the perfect family movie, for sure. It's like a classic movie trope. Starts off with a cold-hearted businessman who barely sees his kids, doesn't want any equality. He's divorced, he doesn't want to spend time with his family, and then these penguins come into his life and melt his heart, no pun intended, and all of a sudden he's a happy-go-lucky guy. But the scene with the, spoiler alert, with the egg that doesn't make it, yeah, that was like sad shit right there. That really was. The first time I watched it, I was just like, oh well, the egg's gonna hatch. Like, it's building tension and drama, it's gonna hatch, and then it didn't. It's like, you bastards. It's like Marley and Me all over again. The number 23. Oh, this was shit. It's like, I'm sorry. Like, I like horror movies, and I think this was the first movie Jim Carrey attempted that wasn't comedy. Like, technically, the likes of the Truman Show's not a comedy movie, but it was the first time he had stepped completely out of the genre that made him famous, and it was just like, no, I'm sorry. This ain't it, Jim. I am sorry. Yes Man. I love Yes Man. I think it's fantastic. Still haven't got any S tier films, but that's because we haven't hit the big hitters. You know what ones are going to be going to the top. Yes Man is an absolutely fantastic movie. Even Zooey Deschanel, she's fantastic in it as well. The whole thing, like, it's actually a good trope. Like, people do go through stages where they're just saying no to everything, and sometimes you just have to start saying yes. Not to everything. You can't say yes to everything, no matter what this film wants you to believe. But it is a very funny film, some very good moments. I think it's Bradley Cooper in that too. But it's a very good film. The original Ace Ventura, S tier, not even a doubt in my mind. Literally, it's like the whole, like, it's still in my head. The whole him and Ironhorn, the lady cop. I was like, it's such an iconic moment. The whole cast is brilliant. Courtney Cox is actually funny in this, and I don't say that to be offensive. Like, in Friends as Monica, she's hilarious, but in movies, very much not so much. Like, this was around the time she was doing the Scream movies as well, and I don't want to say that the acting of Gail Weathers is atrocious, but it is completely bullshit. But Jim Carrey, just the fact that this is the only movie on here so far outside of Sonic that got a sequel tells you everything you need to know. And Jim Carrey was like, we gotta do this again, we gotta get that money. And he did. He got that money, trust me on that. Next one's Ace Ventura 2. Unpopular opinion, and it will be unpopular for anybody who watches this, I would put Ace Ventura 2 ahead of Ace Ventura. The amount of quotable lines in that second movie is outrageous. It's like the amount of times I was in school and I was just like, the great white bat has great white guano, doing the whole that's what she slipped in speech. Rewind everything. See him coming out of the ass of that rhino was the funniest thing you've ever seen at the time. And honestly, I would say it's twice as good as the first one, but don't just stand there, throw me a spear. I'm sure some of you are going to be doing that anyway. What have you got? Like, I know what this is, but I've forgotten the name of it. It's the one where he plays like the evil uncle and he's trying to steal all the money. It's shit anyway, I don't like it. I know Neil Patrick Harris was recently in the revival of it for Netflix. Was it a series of unfortunate events? That's what it's called. Neil Patrick Harris was obviously in the revival, but I didn't like it either. So it's not just a Jim Carrey thing, that's for sure. It's just not good. I don't like it. It's just not good. Batman and Robin. Now people are saying this is the beginning of the Batman films that really started to ruin the series for a while. Because obviously you went from the two Michael Keaton Batman films that were just, people loved them in the end despite how much they shit on Michael Keaton at the start, and then you had Val Kilmer, which he is Batman in this, and it's just like, yep, we like Val Kilmer but not as Batman. And then they went to George Clooney. It's like, oh, it can't get any worse. It can. Personally, at the time, see, if you were going to do a live action Riddler, there was no better actor for it than Jim Carrey. I don't care what anyone says, Jim Carrey was perfect for the Riddler, and I think he did a good job. But obviously it's came out since, like, apparently that Tommy Lee Jones didn't like Jim Carrey, and that affected their on-screen chemistry and all that. Look, it's a guilty pleasure, man. I was gonna say good. It's a decent film. It's a B. It's not down here. I could watch this again, whereas I would avoid this trash. So that's how I feel about that. Bruce Almighty, A. 100% A. How amazing him and Morgan Freeman are in this film is scary. Jennifer Aniston too, you gotta give her props, because she's like Courtney Cox, like in Friends, she's hilarious. Outside of Friends, not so much. Jim Carrey's just fantastic as Bruce Nolan. Yes, that's his name, Bruce Nolan. I suppose it's a good film. It's like, what would we do if we had God's powers, like for an extended period of time? The whole like saying yes to every prayer thing and all that is how people would respond if you were getting voices in your head. I probably caught it pretty well. As like a lot of the stuff he did would be like, yeah, I think I actually would have done more. I would have, like, if I was going to give up the powers, I would just be creating money in the corner and then I would give up the powers, because money rules the world, kids, not magic powers. No, don't take that lesson. Don't take that lesson. The original Dumb and Dumber, oh, it's an A. This being up here is why this hurts so much, because they took one of the most iconic movies ever made, not just in comedy. Dumb and Dumber is a bona fide top 50 classic in terms of movies, and to see its sequel 20 plus years later down here hurts, and that's why it confuses the hell out of me how Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels like made this movie. Gotta go answer the door. One second. Honestly, like Eternal Sunshine, to be honest, I could take or leave. It wasn't really the best film in my opinion. I'm gonna put it in C. I wouldn't pick out to watch it again. I really wouldn't. I don't think it's that good. Compared to some of the other stuff on here, it just is not up to par. Like see this one here. This is one that people will not agree with. But I adore this film. Fun with Dick and Jane, I adore it. It's an S for me. It's not going to be for anybody else, and that is completely fine. I don't really care. But how funny this movie was, like the whole dynamic about what would you do if like you're about to get the big promotion, about to have all the cash, you're putting down payments and stuff in anticipation of getting the cash, and then all of a sudden the rug is swept from under you, and you turn to a life of crime. People laugh at it, and a lot of people think it's like, oh, that would never happen in real life. I can tell you now, desperate people do desperate things, and it'd be a lot more common than people think. That is for absolute sure. The Grinch, oh, it's S tier. Like, see, at that time there were so many Christmas films going around. Like, we're talking like the Santa Claus movies, Christmas for the Cranks. Like, there's probably more. I know there's more, but I'm blanking right now. Like, there were so many going around that for Jim Carrey to be able to achieve an iconic Christmas film at that time that people still talk about today, like this film is so good, and he was so good as the Grinch, which, to be fair, like, all that makeup, like, apparently he spent, what, like 8 hours a day in makeup. He had to be trained by CIA agents in terms of how to deal with torture. Like, it's so good that when Benedict Cumberbatch made an animated film, people didn't even want to see it because it wasn't Jim Carrey. So fair play to him. Like, I've got my own Grinch costume that I go around the kids' houses every Christmas and all, and scare them and try to steal their presents. Sometimes they even give the presents back, just like the full Grinch Whoville arc. Liar Liar, another S tier film. This is why I wasn't worried about the lack of S tier films at the start, because I knew all these films were coming. There will be more, that is for sure. Liar Liar's an amazing film. It probably has one of the most iconic blooper reels at the end of the film ever. It's so funny, it's unreal. It's like, it would be scary, but like, what if you woke up and you couldn't lie? Like, even tell a white lie. Like, and getting Jim Carrey to play that part is just brilliant, obviously, of all his eccentric mannerisms and all. I just absolutely love the movie. Man on the Moon, obviously the Andy Kaufman story. It's okay. I know, I understand how much effort went into this for him, because obviously, apparently, he didn't break character even in between takes. He demanded that the crew and all call him Andy, like, just normally offset. You have to respect it, but I also don't think, I think Jim thought this was the movie that was going to win him an Oscar or something. No, definitely not. It's good. It's all right. It's average. I could definitely watch it over and over for sure, but it's better than this garbage. Me, Myself, and Irene, it's S tier, 100%. See, switching between the goofy personality to Hank, it is absolutely unreal. It's like, some of the scenes in this movie are just completely outrageous, and I just love every second of it. It's how I would actually picture Jim Carrey acting in real life. I wouldn't be shocked if it turned out he has split personality disorder. It's absolutely brilliant. The Cable Guy, if you were doing this list 20 years ago, people would have The Cable Guy down here and see or haven't seen. It has become a cult classic. It really has. Like, I watched it when it first came out, and like, I liked it. I didn't rank it amongst all this, but do you see now? Like, do you see now that you actually, they can peel the layers back and try to see what Jim was actually trying to do with the character? Because this did come around the same time as all these funny hits, and people just thought, oh, Jim Carrey, he's the funny man. And yeah, it still does have funny moments in the movie, but Jim was going for something completely different, and people just didn't pick up on it. And that's why it has become a sleeper hit. It's an S tier film. If this film came out now with like all like the knowledge around like mental health and all, and the appreciation people get for taking on like a bit of a more nuanced character in terms of their mental health, this would be like an absolute banger. Wouldn't make anything at the box office because good films don't make money anymore, but it would definitely be much more appreciated now, and I am glad that people realised over the years, like, yeah, you know what, that is a good film. Like, we didn't give that a fair chance, so I'm glad it's there. The Mask is S tier too. Like, you can't argue. Like, nobody else could have brought this character to life. Like, obviously there was like a comic book obviously before that, and if you had have shown the comic book to someone and said, what actor do you think could do this on live action, it would be Jim Carrey. No one else is doing this. It was the same with the Grinch as well. Nobody else could pull this off, and especially not the success of Jim Carrey. That's why Jim Carrey at that time, seeing that Hollywood period where all them top movies were coming out, Jim Carrey was a different breed. Like no one else could touch him. I know there was other like big comedic actors around, like Ben Stiller and all, and like it was a bit competitive, but not really. Jim Carrey was out there on his own. Like, this was not Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Sylvester Stallone. This was Jim Carrey destroying the competition for years and years and years. That's why he could command such big money from all of his roles, because he could just say, who else you gonna get? Like, you clearly wrote the role thinking of me. Now you've wrote the role, who else could do it but me? Because no one else could do any of this, in my opinion. Jim Carrey's the only person that could pull this off well. The Truman Show, another S-tier film. This one's completely different to everything else here, but this was probably I think this is his best dramatic role, in my opinion, because, like, of course it's funny, like, it has its funny quirks, but it's like, how would you react if you actually caught on the whole world was watching you? And Jim Carrey does it perfectly. It's like, and how infuriated were you getting watching it every time that they were able to stop him getting off that island? There was a fake chemical plant explosion, fake storms, fake fires, and you're just like, just someone come in and tell the guy that he's not going crazy. Just let it go, man. I think it's his best thing role here. I think we're about to level out on haven't seen versus S tier, because Sonic is an S tier film too. Do you see, for a video game film to be like this good, it's criminal. It's unreal. And a lot of it, I know people love Sonic. I know we had Ugly Sonic and then it got redesigned, and that was a big part of its success because people did want to see like how well it turned out. Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik is such perfect casting, and I did mention it earlier that I'm so glad that the kids of our generation got to see Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, because that's what Robotnik is. He's just Jim Carrey going off the rails, doing his thing. And if Sonic 2 was on this list, I would have it in S tier as well, because I think it's one of the best. Well, actually, I don't even think there is that many. It's one of the best video game movies, sequels ever made, in my opinion. And I'm so glad that we got a spin-off show with Knuckles, which is also good. Little too much focus on Wade, but you know, still good. And Sonic 3 is coming out in December with Shadow, who is rumoured to be voiced by Keanu Reeves. All day, every day, twice on Sunday. Yes, please. And Jim Carrey is also coming back. And Jim Carrey said it'll be the first time Jim Carrey's ever done a Beyond the sequel for a trilogy, which I'm glad is taking place on Sonic, because there was also some rumours that there would be an Ace Ventura 3. No thank you, don't touch it, leave it alone. Get away, please. Money grab, money grab, money grab. You will never recapture the essence of them first two movies. Never go near it again. So yeah, Sonic is S tier as well. Robotnik is probably the best video game villain in live action ever done, in my opinion. To get him and Jack Black's Bowser around the same time is mental. Like, it is mental. And like, we should be in a golden age of cinema because of stuff like that, but we just keep movies keep losing money, and we keep missing out on big movies coming back. But it is what it is. But that's my list, guys. If you just want to put in your favourite films down below, do a little comment thing you guys like to do. The top of the list isn't in any particular order, except for Ace Ventura 2 being in front of 1. That is a definite. There's no doubt about that in my mind. It probably is my favourite Jim Carrey movie. The rest is just random. But it's a pretty good list. Like, he's got 6 movies down in bottom tier. Like, you look at how many movies this guy's done. 6 movies down there ain't bad. Some of the average ones even could have been up here in against someone else's list. But there's a lot up here. You gotta respect the man. He's earned his flowers, that is for sure. And if he does, like he's been saying about retirement, if he wants to retire, that is fair enough. He has done more than enough for this industry, and we should just let him go after Sonic 3, of course. I don't think, maybe do a sequel to The Grinch, that'd be awesome. But that's all I'm asking. So guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff you guys like to do, and I shall see you on the next one.